My name is Alan Cox, and I played Richard Sidwell in London's Burning, and it was season 5, episode 3, I believe. So that's again. Corinne Rodriguez, who was the casting director for that season, she had got me in to interview and audition for the Royal Shakespeare Company, whom she was also working for at the time. And they very kindly offered me a season at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And then Corinne got me in to meet John Reardon for the role in London's Burning. So it was through my agent, but it was Corinne who championed me, having already got me a job very kindly at the Royal Shakespeare Company. So in the episode I was in, my character, Richard, was, as I was, a young man in his 20s, and he was in a dysfunctional relationship with his parents. And I think they were concerned about his seeming addiction to video games. And he also clearly had mental health problems. I remember John Reardon gave me a Sunday Colour supplement about an artist who had schizophrenia, and he'd slowly painted pictures of himself as he weaned himself off his psych meds to depict the state of mind that he was experiencing throughout. So that, I think, was the theme. And there was, as there still is now, the question about how people's mental health is affected by playing video games. And I think the thing that the episode explored in my line of the narrative was the situation that this poor chap found himself in. What was interesting for me working on this episode is that some of my contemporaries from school had their own episodes, their psychological episodes. And I remember visiting a friend of mine at the Priory in London, and in another room was a contemporary of ours from school, who I remember him talking through the analogies of Sonic the Hedgehog to the situations that we find in life. And so this episode was filmed and broadcast in 1992. And so I think the Sega games consoles were part of the culture. I mean, we had home computers, we had the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore 64, the BBC Micro, and that was where the culture of gaming kind of really blew up at our school. And also we had Atari game systems and the such like. So there was a sense of the issue being alive, that I'm not sure what impact that it had. It's one of those things of, does the drama reflect a situation, or does it prompt a change in our understanding? And sometimes I think it's a little bit of both. Yes. What was very touching for me is that I got to play opposite James Hazeldine, who, aside from being a fantastic actor, was also an old family friend. And he and I had worked together in a play in the 1980s when I was about 13, called A Strange Interlude, in which he played my my adopted father. So there was something poignant about being able to spend time with him. And in the episode, Bayleaf is trying to talk Richard down, and he's got into an anxiety state that has prompted him to climb up onto this crane. So to get to play with Jimmy was very, very poignant for me, as I say. And the thing I remember is that John wanted he experimented with this thing of projecting the images of video games across the chap's face when he was in his heightened state, and he wasn't sure whether it would work, but as I remember it was quite effective. And then spoiler alert, when Richard falls from the crane, I remember the stuntman that was hired to do what they call a fan descent, where there's a kind of pulley attached and a rope or a cable connected to the harness on the stuntman, and then the stuntman falls backwards and they gently speed up the film, and then he lands on a car and then the car blows out. So so aside from the joy of getting to play a scene, a dramatic scene, an intense scene with Jimmy Hazeldine, also the fascination for me of the technology of making a stunt work, that was very enjoyable. As I recall, most of my stuff was on location, because I remember hanging out in these little honey wagons with the rest of like a portable green room in which Rupert and Sam Beckinsale and Jimmy and the other actors and I would just sit around and shoot the breeze while we were waiting for our shot. So as I recall, it was most of my stuff was on location. The climax of my character's story was mainly played with James Hazeldine, but I also had scenes with Andrew Burt and Penelope Nice, who played my parents in it. And I remember Andrew Burt from the TV adaptation of the story of King Arthur, which I watched as a kid. And then I also remembered Penelope from Press Gang, the TV series. So that was, an added bonus to the whole experience. But yeah, so those are the interactions I recall. Yes. No, I was, in terms of the schedule, I had lots of days off. There was another storyline which was filming at the same time, and it's very rare that an actor would come in for somebody else's storyline. So I was just called for the scenes I was in. No, I think I've pretty much included them in the other topics that we've been talking about. Nothing more specific comes to mind. I still work as a professional actor, and I'm about to start filming something that, without wanting to be overly mysterious, I've signed an NDA about, so I can't go into detail about it yet. And then I'm also doing a project in Canterbury in the next month, which is to record audio captures of the complete works of Christopher Marlowe, who was, as many of you know, a contemporary of Shakespeare's, and he wrote these very bombastic plays and then was killed when he was only 29 years old. And he's an incredibly sort of rich and verbally fruity writer. So I'm very, very happy to be participating in this project next. Absolute pleasure, Andrew. It's been lovely to cast my mind back.